Okay, everybody, a warm welcome to Kicking the Balearics. It's a football podcast, zoomcast, where myself and Martin Makepeace talk about Balearic football. Real Mallorca, who play in La Segunda Smart Bank. Atlético Balears, UD Poblense, that play in Segunda B, along with UD Ibiza and Penya Deportiva in Segunda B in Group B. And then we talk about Tercera Division, the Balearic Tercera Division, and also youth football as well. But we've got a very special guest. James Gordon's with us. We've been talking to James actually all week about different things about Menorca football. He has his own website. It's called MenorcaFootball.com. And we've already just talked about Menorca football in detail, actually, which you'll be able to catch very, very shortly. But what can I say, Mark? It's been a fantastic couple of weeks for Real Mallorca. We are...
Listen, as always, mate, as we identified earlier, let's start with Mallorca, as we always do. Because that's,
no, we started with Ibiza a couple of weeks ago. Come on.
Okay, all right, mate. No, but Richie, what a few weeks for the Reds, mate. What a few weeks.
Well, you know, we had the sticky patch over Christmas and into the new year. We thought, hello, how long is this going to go on for? Luckily, it was just 3 games. And now we've just won 3 games on the trot. And our teams around us have stumbled a little bit, particularly Espanyol. Espanyol have lost the last 3 of 5. Almeria have lost 1, drawn 2 out of 5. So the teams around us are actually helping us gain a bit of a lead at the top. We are now 5 points clear at the top, 51 points from 24 games. The only team not to lose away as well in the calendar year, which is great because you said we couldn't buy an away win when we were in La Liga. This year so far, we haven't lost an away game. So it's looking good. And listen, Albacete, everybody, when you looked at Albacete, we played them on Friday last, and everybody looked at them, were 17th in the league. Oh, yeah, well, they'll roll them over. But Albacete were the best team in January in the whole of the league. They won 4 games, a draw 1 or something. And it was a difficult game, and particularly even made more difficult by the fact they had a player sent off in 37 minutes.
Well, Richie, what I would just say about Mallorca is exactly as you said. There was a blip over Christmas, but they have come back, and the games they have won against their closest rivals. If you look at the Rayo Vallecano, they beat. Was it Girona as beat as well? You know, I know Albacete were down the table, but they're kind of slaying their nearest rivals, and not just that. Espanyol now are really dropping off as well, aren't they? And if you look at the table, Espanyol are at the same points as Almeria, but Almeria have got a game in hand. So who would have thought that 3 weeks ago? So, you know, a fantastic, 15, 20 days for Mallorca. And, you know, I've got good vibes, Richie. I mean, we need to have good vibes, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, the next 2 weeks are going to determine where we are with regards to promotion. You know, there are 18 games to go, I think it is. We now play Espanyol, Almeria, both games at home. Don't lose those games. You know, we always say you should win your home games, don't lose your away games. But even if we don't lose those games, we've had good results against Espanyol and Almeria. And if you didn't know how it works here, is that the first way of promotion is you look at the team. If you're level on points with the team, you look at how your results have gone against that team first. It's not down to goal difference or how many games you've won or whatever it is.
Head to head, isn't it?
It's head to head. So we've already beaten Almeria away. We drew with Espanyol away 0-0. So we need to sort of not lose. And then I think, you know, it's worth another point to us at the when it gets to that stage, if it gets to that stage, because right now,
Richie, I think Mallorca have got to go into that game on Valentine's Day against Espanyol, and they've got to have the mentality to win that game because I think if you win that game, then all of a sudden daylight appears, doesn't it, between Mallorca? I wouldn't say it's a 6-pointer, but it's a crucial game. On the other hand, by the way, if Espanyol win, and they're right bang back in it. So I've got a feeling they're going to really be up for that game, really up for it. So will you take a draw, Richie?
Yeah, I would actually right now.
Yeah, me too.
Of course.
Me too.
Listen, I'd love to win because obviously it's our ex-manager, Vicente Moreno. You know, it's a bit of a rivalry now. And I wasn't happy when he left. You know, I thought he could have taken the team
Richie,
on again.
you threw your toys out the pram, mate. Let's admit it. You threw your toys out the pram.
Yeah, I wasn't happy. But, you know, look, it would be lovely to beat him, go 8 points clear, and then we'll go again. Do you know what I mean? But let's see. It's been an interesting game. Sunday, 2:00, the kickoff for that one.
Massive game. You're in the UK, aren't you, James? I mean, Do you follow Real Mallorca over there? I mean, me and Richard are always banging on about the Balearics need that team in the first tier of Spanish football. Do you follow Real Mallorca over there, James?
Yeah, I mean, I keep my eye out. Obviously, I do a lot of work around the Menorcan players. Follow Menorca. We got Enrique Ibar and teams like that. So I try and keep my eye out for Mallorca. I completely agree with you in terms of, getting and being in La Liga is important for visibility and also as an inspiration, I suppose, to the other Balearic islands. I think I probably tend to keep more of an eye on Segunda Division B maybe, and the teams in there, because you're always wondering, they're maybe a bit more comparable, I guess, to some of the Menorcan teams. As an aside, I went to Espanyol last year sometime. So it's interesting to see them in Segunda against Mallorca, I guess, one of the rivals for the promotion.
Any young Menorca players actually at Real Mallorca? Do you know that, James?
There was a couple, but the best prospect at the moment is a midfielder called Xavi Sintes, and he has actually gone to Real Madrid now.
Yeah. So we talked about him, Mark. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He was the boy that went to San Francisco, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. So he went. I think he went there on like a loan or something like that. But yeah, he went to Mallorca direct from Menorca, and then Real Madrid took him there, and he seems to be doing okay. Obviously, I think they won the Youth Champions League last season. But yeah, I've seen a few Menorca. Part of me wonders whether Mallorca now are probably a level above where Menorcan talent can get to at this moment in time. I think you'll find a lot of the Menorcan young players are playing at teams in that Segunda Division B level.
Yeah.
More so than.
But the thing about Real Mallorca, what we often say in this show, James, is that we talked about that kind of umbrella, didn't we, there before? And what Real Mallorca does for the Balearic kids, anyway, I'm talking about my child's, my kid's 13, yours are what, 14 and 16, aren't they, Richie, now, is it? Or 13 and 16 now as well.
And our young's still only 11. You've given him 2 years already. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, he's a big lad, though, isn't he? So the thing is, I tell you what Real Mallorca does for us here in Ibiza, it gives us a way out, right? Because if you're a very good young player in the Balearic Islands, then usually you're going to be spotted by, first and foremost, Real Mallorca, okay? And that's where you'll end up. We've got 3 youngsters in Ibiza youngsters at or have been at Real Mallorca in the last 12 months. So, that's what Real Mallorca, as much as we hate that rivalry and that kind of tribalism we talked about before, Real Mallorca does play a very important part in Balearic football.
Well, I do think...
Go on.
Sorry, I do think that the UD Ibiza team does similar as well.
Well, it is now. Absolutely.
Because certainly last season, I know there's is it Pep Kabai? Sorry if I've butchered the pronunciation there.
Oh,
he's a Mahon-born player. He hailed from Menorca. Obviously, he's had a decent career, and it's like it gives that pathway, I suppose, for players where they can think, well, actually, we could play for the Ibiza team at that level, and then maybe move on to Mallorca without having to go to the mainland.
It's shot window, listen, the more you're in the window, the bigger chance there. But I'm talking particularly from a youth level, which maybe, I'm talking from my child's perspective, is the first outlet for us over here is probably UD Ibiza, and then the second outlet is going to be Real Mallorca or the feeder clubs of Real Mallorca that Richie's sons play for as well. So, I don't want to focus too much on Real Mallorca in this podcast because, as we know, it's Balearic.
Was it San Francisco that you're young? Am I allowed to say this? I don't know whether I'll be allowed to now.
I know, because Atlético Villa Carlos beat them like yesterday in Division.
Yeah, 1-0. Yeah, so that was their first. It was there. I thought I'd get that in. That was their first win of the season.
It was
difficult for them, and I suppose quite systematic of the situation. Obviously, they're the only Menorcan team playing in national competition, basically.
Which is great. I think, listen, what me and Martin always talk about for us, I'm a follower of Real Mallorca, Martin's a follower of UD Ibiza, but this is a Balearic football podcast, and what we are trying to do is encourage the fact that we want Mallorca in the La Liga. We'd like to see UD Ibiza and Atlético Balears in Segunda when it all gets, remashed around again. Then we'd like to see Penya, UD Poblense in the next level. And then the next level down, then we'd like to, get these Menorcan teams back in, because this is all about youth football. And we both have boys in youth football. And the more opportunities that our boys have, rather than having to go across to the mainland, is here on the islands, and the better the football here, the better opportunities. And listen, one day, if they're good enough, they'll get picked off anyway. We all know that. But, if the pyramid is right here and we get that pyramid all the way up to Real Mallorca in La Liga, it's a fantastic opportunity for youth football. And it's a fantastic opportunity for us as fans to go and watch all those different levels of football. Because, it's lovely to go and watch Real Mallorca play in La Liga, but it's also nice to go and watch Atlético Balears playing Segunda B, because you get to see youngsters that, for instance, I went to the other week, they played Real Madrid, and you saw the Real Madrid youngsters. It's all for me. It's about just making that pyramid nice and good for us as fans and our kids as footballers as well.
How do you the teams in Mallorca at them lower levels deal with recruitment? Because there's a little bit of debate at the moment on Menorca where Villa Carlos, for instance, have brought in players from outside the island to play for them, and that's caused a little bit of controversy as to because obviously you're trying to find that balance between putting a competitive team together, but then at the same time they are the only youth team, or the only team actually in Menorca that's playing in national competition at the moment. So, the argument is should they not just be reliant on Menorcan players?
No, listen, I think, all the bigger clubs, my boys go to a place called San Francisco. One of the bigger clubs is a feeder club for Real Mallorca. They're nicking players from all over the place, let's be honest. They are. It's not just a case of boys being within a certain sort of parameter of the towns that they are from. I live in Calvia, which is, a 25-minute drive into Palma. My boys playing in Palma. So listen, I think if you're going to have the level, you're going to have to look at some players from outside as well, in my opinion, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's survival. It's survival of the fittest. You talk about Villa Carlos. If they're playing national level, if you're a good player in Menorca, you want to play for them. It's as simple as that, because you want to play at the highest level. And football's always been that way. Even when I was playing back in the day, if you've got a good player, young player, he's going to want to go to the best team. So if that's Villa Carlos on the day, it's Villa Carlos. So, I think what we've got to try and do is make the Balearic pyramid as strong as possible. And this is what Menorca has to address, which we spoke about going into our other podcast there. But, that's what you have to do. And go back to my original question or statement, is that Real Mallorca are rightly there at the top of the Balearic pyramid, and we need them there.
Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to talk about the transfer window, Mark, because obviously that closed last week. We signed a goalkeeper called Coque Vegas from Levante on loan. He's just there as a backup to Manolo Reina, of course. Victor Mollejo, a winger, joined from Atlético Madrid, could be interesting. 20-year-old winger, signed. He was playing at Getafe. Well, he was in the Getafe squad, but wasn't actually playing, which is why he's got a transfer. But I think the most interesting of all is Álvaro Jiménez, who's a boy who's come over from Cadiz on a 6-month loan, but was top scorer at Almeria a couple of seasons ago. He scored, 20 goals for Almeria in that season, 2018-19, I think it was. But he's also played at Birmingham. He's played at Elche, Alcorcón, Almeria, and I think it might be interesting. We talked about second half of the season. We need to get goals.
And Richie, we have said this since our first podcast, is that Mallorca need to get in the second half of the season somebody who can stick the ball in the onion bag. Yeah. And this is your man.
I think so, yeah. I think it's a good signing. I'm hoping...
Really good signing.
Let's talk about UD Ibiza.
Yay! You sure? You got any time for it today, Rich?
Yeah, come on, UD Ibiza. 1-1 draw. Lost to Alcoyano the week before. 1-1 draw this week.
Yeah. 1-1 draw, Richie, to Atzeneta. They got an early goal. UD came back into it again. It just shows a bit of resilience. An away draw will do, Rich. Win your home matches, draw your away matches, and you're almost there. The good news about it all is, by the way, Alcoyano lost. Yeah, so they were knocking on the door. Having beat UD the week before, we thought Alcoyano are now going to actually go for it. But then again, they lost to, who did they lose to? Let's have a look. They lost
to Villarreal.
Yeah, Villarreal, yeah, who were knocking on the door as well. So, it's all good news for UD Ibiza. If you look at the table now as well, they're still, 8 points ahead with how many games to go? Let's have a look. So we've got 5 games to go.
5 games to go, yeah.
Realistically, before the league split off into their own little kind of sub-leagues again. So, it's only good and UD are flying, mate. I said to you at the start of the season, they made 2 or 3 really good signings, mate. There was a lot of buzz about Davo, about Goldar. Javi Lara is still producing the goods week in, week out. So I think it's all good. When the leagues split off and go into their different separate formations again, I think that's the second half. I think that's going to be difficult, mate, because then they're going to be playing like-minded teams, and it's a bit like the classification, isn't it, Rich, where you go off. So they're going to be playing the top teams from the other subgroups as well. So, we're only halfway there, but the signs are very good.
Great result for Penya, and 2 goals for Penya as well.
When you score, not just that, mate. Hercules were knocking on the door, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Hercules were there. So, and Penya went 2-0 up. Which we're not used to saying that, are we really?
No.
Penya went 2 up. We're not used to saying that as well. So a really good result for Penya. They've still only scored 5 goals in 13 matches, by the way. Let's just say that. So, they still need to score more goals, but a really good result. And they're edging up the league. They're only 1 point behind Atlético now as well, which are obviously they're in the second tier as well. It's going to get a bit complicated. Basically, each league splits into 3 different groups after the first half of the season. So, if they can get up into the second grouping, that means they definitely won't be relegated, and that's the most important thing.
Now, we thought Atlético Balears had turned the corner last week after a 2-1 win against Real Madrid's B team, Real Madrid Castilla, as they're known. But in the week, which was yesterday actually, they lost 2-0 away at Dux International.
Bad result.
Yeah, terrible.
Bad result.
I just thought that they've done it now. That was it. They were going to get themselves promoted, but they put themselves back into a bit of a position. They're out of the top 3 now. They're 4th, 18 points, 2 behind Real Madrid Honda, 4 behind Dukes, and 8 behind San Sebastian. So
that was a big game. That was a big game, Richie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't actually realise how big that game was.
Yeah,
because they were 1 point away from each other, weren't they?
Yeah.
And that Ducks, who we know absolutely nothing about, by the way, which we've said all the way through, we haven't got a clue who they are, what they do, or whatever.
They're from Madrid. That's all we can tell you.
That's all we know. With a very strange name.
Yes, exactly.
They're knocking on. They're second, knocking on the door.
They are. UD Poblense, our other team, of course. Now, UD, what can I say about UD? Got a fantastic win away at Getafe last week. We were talking about how Balearic teams were doing last weekend, and they pretty much all did well, apart from, Ibiza actually was the only one that actually drew last week. But UD to win 2-0 away at Getafe was a great result. Another team that don't score many goals, don't concede many is another thing, but they're now in 7th place out of 10. So, as you just said, they need to get themselves in that sort of mid-table area, and then they won't go down. That's really, really important. A bit like Penya.
Tougher, mate. They're 5 points behind, aren't they?
Yeah.
They got whacked by Dux the week before. That means Dux did the big 1-2 Balearic double, didn't they? In the space of 10 days, they beat both of the Balearic teams quite comfortably, 5 goals against and 5 goals scored and 0 against. So Ducks have ducked us in the water, I'm afraid, there, mate.
Look,
there you go.
Apparently, I've just had a quick look while you were chatting there. Dux is actually Dux Gaming is an esports brand who apparently bought the club a couple of years ago, and that's
okay.
There you go, Rich. All we needed to do was Google it, mate.
Yeah, well, exactly. But we don't play them that often. But they're doing all right. They're doing okay.
Yeah, so they're obviously in the top 3. Poblense is a team that I sort of keep half an eye out because they've got Aitor Pons up front, who is Mahon. He's a Mahon-born striker. I think he's got 2 goals in 13 games this season. I think he scored the winner actually in the playoff. The playoff they got promoted in last year.
Oh, fantastic.
So he's one of the ever-growing list of Menorcan players to keep an eye on.
Great win by Poblense, though, Rich, as you said there. It's Akitb. We need more of that.
We most certainly do. We'll move down to Tercera. Group A. Andrach, we thought was sort of getting themselves pulled back a little bit, and then all of a sudden, teams around them lose games, which is not great. So Andrach are in fact leading by 7 points to Ibiza Pitiusas, who do have a game in hand, as do Menorca. But it looks like Andrach are the top boys here. Your boys, Portmany.
My local side, Portmany. Yeah, they lost last weekend, Richie. I think it was 3-1. I think they lost to.
That's right. Yeah.
I think they lost. Was it Colorense or Constantia? I can't remember, but they lost last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big game. Unfortunately, lost. But for us again, just being in that, we're now at the business end of the league, aren't we? Really, because we've talked about it all the way through. We've got this, because of what James mentioned before, the total reorganisation of the lower leagues of Spanish football. With each of these groups and subgroups, they've got 3 different tiers in as well. So now, the interesting point is you're not playing for certain positions in the league. You're playing for certain positions in that subgroup. Yeah. So for Portmany, we're now top of the second subgroup in the group 11. Sorry if I'm confusing everyone at home, by the way, but it is a bit confusing. It's important for them to stay in that second subgroup again, because they can't be relegated. That's the thing. So really important that they stay there. So we've got. We spoke with James before about do you have local players? Portmany actually have brought in several players from Andalusia, several players from outside the islands, and they rejuvenated the club this year as well. So, the answer to the questions is that, can the island sustain on just the island players? It's a straight no. Of course it can't. You need to bring in outside talent, and Portmany are the ones who have benefited from that.
And Group B, players look like they're going to run away with it. And they're 5 points clear, 2 games in hand on the team in second place, which is Mallorca B, around Mallorca's B team, of course. Santagny in third. Formentera are fourth. So they're holding themselves quite well, Formentera.
And San Jordi are fifth, Rich, again. So, we've got Formentera. Now, I'm glad we come on to Formentera, because Formentera are obviously the fourth of the Balearic Islands. If Formentera can have a team in the Tercera, I'm sure that Menorca can. It's a simple end of. And they've got a great setup in Formentera, by the way, and they benefit from being the only team on the island, by the way, as well. So, a few quid behind them as well. But Formentera, don't forget, they were in the Segunda B 2 years ago as well. So, but they're still fighting hard, and they're in fourth place in the Tercera in Group 11.
We normally finish on Division Honor. We have mentioned it slightly already, a little bit earlier on. This is where the higher echelons of youth football go. It's a fantastic league. Particularly this year, it's highly competitive. Espanyol are running away with it, 33 points. Barcelona in second, 25. CF Dam in third on 20. Our teams are sort of middle to near the bottom, unfortunately. Penya Deportiva are 6th on 18, Mallorca are 7th on 17, and joined by San Francisco in 8th on 17. We mentioned a bit earlier when we were talking to James about Menorca that Menorca do have a team in this particular division. It's Atlético Balears, who did win yesterday against my boys' team, San Francisco, which is a fantastic result, their first win of the season. So well done to them. I'm not quite sure how the relegation is working in this league this year, because it's been split. I don't know if you know, James, do you?
No, it's funny. It's funny you say that. It's funny you say, because I think I did a piece on Balearic early this week before Wednesday's game.
You did. I read
it. I was trying to find out myself, and I couldn't seem to figure it out.
No, normally it's the bottom 2 teams. Normally it's the bottom 2, but obviously in a league of 20 teams. Now they've split it into 2 regional divisions now. So whether it will be the bottom 1 of each will go down, I really don't know.
I think either way, Balearic are going to have to win quite a few games to whatever the system is.
They're coming over actually in the next couple of weeks. They're coming over to play San Francisco in the next couple of weeks. And if you go to San Francisco's Facebook page, they always put the games on. So you'll be able to see that game live on Facebook. I don't exactly know when it is, to be perfectly honest, but I've definitely seen it in the fixtures when they're playing. Oh, I've got it here, actually. It's next Sunday, the 21st.
Right.
If you, as I say, if you join San Francisco's Facebook page, you'll be able to see, and they always put it on Facebook Live. And it's actually quite a good way of doing it, actually, because obviously nobody can go and watch games anywhere right now in the Balearics. So it's even my son, who's a cadete, they even put their games on, which is quite nice. So listen, it's been fantastic. We've really enjoyed it. James, I really appreciate you coming on. You'll be able to see James. We've done a separate Zoom and podcast for James just about Menorcan football. And it was a lot more to talk about than we originally thought, and which has been fantastic. And it's been really interesting to find out a lot more about it. James is on Twitter at Menorca Football, and his website is menorcafootball.com. And it's a very good website. It has great informative information about all things Menorcan football as well. So, James, I really appreciate you joining us. Hopefully you can come and join us again sometime.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me anytime. Just give me a shout.
No worries. And don't forget to follow us on Akitb Balearics. Hopefully next season you'll basically be a weekly podcast with us, because you've got a team in our higher echelons, which would be fantastic. Akitb Balearics on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, this will come out as a Zoomcast the next couple of days, and also as a podcast as well. And until next week, young Martin and James, thanks very much.
Pleasure, guys. Really good to meet you, James. Thanks a lot for that, and carry on banging the drum for Menorca and Balearic football.
No worries. Thanks very much.
Cheers.